We are really excited to release this episode with Kyle Hughey, CEO from Charlestown. David, what were your favorite parts from this conversation?
I love me some independent.
Yes,
he
sir.
was great. True independent, management company. I think for us and all the people we've met and spoken to, it's great to each time we find one of these people that are so emotionally invested to being truly independent, whether it be owners, operators. And so I thought it was a great episode. And I think it's a great way to also, learn how to navigate, moving up the ranks in hospitality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of my favorite parts. I mean, he was on the accounting side and then worked with a hospitality company. And he's like, this is an amazing industry. I need to be involved in this. And now he became the CEO of one of the premier independent management companies in the US. And I agree with you, David. Their independent collection is awesome. And I absolutely loved it. So enjoy the show. We're really excited about this one and let us know what you think.
Welcome to the Modern Hotelier. I'm your host, David Millili.
I'm your co-host, Steve Carran.
And I'm the producer, John Boomhofer.
Steve, who do we have on the program today?
Yeah, David, today we have on Kyle Hughey, the CEO of Charlestowne Hotels. Kyle is the head coach who helps define the company's strategy and conducts productivity assessments for the complete portfolio. He's a trained CPA with a natural business acumen. Kyle has an eye for the industry development and profit optimization opportunities. Combined with his 15-year background in the accounting industry with a passion for pushing creative boundaries, Kyle guides Charlestown Hotels to integrate strategic, innovative systems that maximize the client's goals. Welcome to the show, Kyle. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, David, for having me on today.
No, that's great. All right, so we're going to dive right in. So we're going to go through a lightning round, ask you some questions, dive into your personal background, your professional, and then get into some industry topics. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So what was your first job?
First job is kind of boring and standard, kind of embarrassing, but, I'm an accountant, so I just went right into this public accounting world as a CPA. So good experience, but not that glamorous or sexy for sure.
Did you have a role model growing up?
I think, just in general, I had a good loving family. So grandparents, parents, those are kind of what built me as a character, so helped me build my character. So those were always people that I looked up as role models for sure.
Great. Is there a luxury you can't live without?
Well, right now in Charleston, South Carolina, I could not live without air conditioner. It's so hot down here. I mean, you're taking, 2 or 3 showers a day and you just can't stop sweating. So air conditioner is it for today, at least.
All right. So if you had your own late night talk show, who would your first guest be?
First guest, I'd bring in Roger Federer. I mean, he's kind of hot right now. He's got a new documentary out, and he's just always done. I mean, had a great career, transcended sports into philanthropy and even fashion a little bit. But he just does everything with such style and grace. I mean, it's gonna be a good one, I think, for at least to kick off the program.
Yeah, no, good choice. All right, so last one in this round. If you had a time machine and you can go to the future, you can go to the past, which way are you going and what year are you going to go to?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going forward. You'll hurt your neck looking back. So I'd go forward. And I'd really like to go out 20 years. I mean, I think personally, my wife and I, we really are intentional in the way we parent and operate in our personal lives. And then at CH, Charlestowne Hotels, we're really making intentional decisions. And I'd love to see how those pan out in, say, 20 years. So we run it out to 2044, something like that. That'd be a good time to see where things have landed.
That was good. So now we're going to learn a little bit more about you and what makes you tick. So you grew up in Greenville, South Carolina. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep. The upstate of South Carolina.
So how did that shape you into who you are today?
Again, I think I grew up even outside of kind of a more rural area. I mean, I think, again, it was a slower pace of life, but a great experience. I had a great childhood and early life before I went off to college. And I think that it was a real grounded area. And I think in terms of building character, I think that always kind of set the tone. It wasn't a fast paced. I think people, where I'm from, they thought well, they, focused on family and priorities in life. They were pretty well organized. And I think that's something I hold very valuable now. And I think it's been impactful for sure.
And so growing up like me, you wanted to be a baseball player. You played through high school and then you went to Citadel for college. What led to that decision? What position did you play?
Yeah, well, I didn't, unfortunately didn't play any baseball at the Citadel, but obviously I grew up in the South. In the '90s, everybody was a Braves fan. Who wasn't? So you just that was always the dream, and then reality sets in. But the Citadel was just a good decision. One of my best friends still, he went there. He was going there, encouraged me to go there too, and I got there, and then he quit, and I stayed for the next 4 years. But it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Again, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of the community I grew up in, it shaped character. The Citadel definitely did that as well. So no regrets at all.
That's awesome. Big Chipper Jones fan, I can assume.
For sure. I mean, he was holding down the hot corner over there at third, but yeah, it was good. I was a big Chipper fan.
Same here. Same here. So Israel is on top of your bucket list. Any plans to go there, or any? Have you gone yet?
I've not gone there. I think it's just something where, just in the world, in terms of my faith, there's a lot of background there, and I think it would always be a good experience to tie that faith back to actual location geographically. So that's why it's always on the bucket list. But maybe something for my wife and I to experience in the future. I think that's it. In the short term, talking about bucket list, I'd love to be thinking the Olympics are coming up, and I wish I'd have kind of maybe planned that earlier. I think if you were to ask me right this second, that's a bucket list one for sure.
Absolutely. Are you a big Olympics guy? Do you have a favorite sport in the Summer Olympics?
We watch them all. It's kind of a family thing. I got 4 kids, and my wife, we sit down every night. It's kind of our ritual for the 3 weeks it lasts, and it's just a good time. And we get excited to be a little patriotic, or definitely a lot patriotic, pulling for the USA, and it gives us something to root for and watch together.
Absolutely. Basketball team's looking good. So
yeah.
Now we're going to go on to your career a little bit. So how you got to be the CEO of Charlestowne Hotels. So after the Citadel, you went and worked for a couple of accounting firms. With the accounting and military background from the Citadel, how does that help you in your current role of CEO?
Yeah, I think kind of maybe two parts answer there. I think ultimately the military, the component at the Citadel, I think it just leads to change and overcoming obstacles. I think y'all know in the hospitality world, everything's changing, and there's a lot of obstacles always. And I think you get a little perseverance, a little grit, and you push through. I think in the military, I think that's the mindset you have to have. And then in the accounting world, I think, nobody wants to ever say they're accountant, like I mentioned earlier, but I think it's a great foundation for business. I think there's not a business that's run without an accountant. I think so. It really laid a lot of groundwork for me to experience a lot of things, see a lot of things, understand different industries. I think it was a great foundational for business. So I think that kind of just started that path for sure.
Then you went on to become the controller for Kiowa Partners, and then you got to work at the Kiowa Island Club. What really did you get from that experience? What made you want to do that?
Yeah, so Kiowa Island is a barrier island down kind of just south of Charleston. And it's a great property, and kind of came out of public accounting, going into private industry. It was a good path. And Kiowa Partners is a group that at the time owned probably 22 different entities, everything from the utility to real estate to true land development. So going there, I knew I would have a wide range of exposure to different industries, and it didn't disappoint. I was there about 7 years, saw a lot of great things. Got a lot of experience. They're a well established company, great people to work for, 2 different ownership sets while I was there. And they gave us kind of the full showed behind the curtain a little bit. I got to see a lot of things, understand why decisions were made. And again, continuing to build that business acumen and experience. So that's basically led in there. And then one of the things that you mentioned, they kind of manage is the Kiowa Island Club. And that was really my first taste of hospitality. And it's a very nice luxury club. And I really saw how the people, the employees there treated the guests, treated the members to give great experiences. Magical time. People come in the summertime, experience Kiowa Island, special place anyway. And then you layer in the amenities of the Kiowa Island Club, and the employees deliver a great guest experience or member experience. And you could just see how that just made that summer vacation, that much more magical. And it was a real taste of the hospitality world.
That's great. I got to give David credit too. He didn't pronounce it right before the show, and then we put it in a little voice thing, and it told him the wrong way to pronounce it.
Yeah,
So.
I took some notes.
That's good.
I sounded it out.
You actually need to make a trip down there. It's such a special place, and then you'll get
awesome.
the pronunciation directly.
There you go. You're absolutely right. I'm familiar with it, and I got to make it down there. It looks incredible. So from there, you went to Charlestowne Hotels as their VP of Finance, and since have worked your way up to CEO. What made you choose Charlestown? And, tell us a little bit about Charleston for those that might not be as familiar.
Sure. First part is really, I'll kind of answer the second part first. So Charlestowne Hotels is independent hotel management company based in Charleston, South Carolina. Been in business 40 plus years. I mean, it really has a legacy. I've been here 9 years and it was already an established legacy. And the reason that the appeal to come here was because they had a reputation. They had beautiful properties, independence. At the time, generally Southeast, a couple outliers outside of the region, but generally Southeast, beautiful properties. And also they were known for their team. Like at Kiowa, the company was pretty big, and I knew at Charlestown, the company, I was going to get this even more experience. I had a lot of, obviously, finance, accounting background experience, but at Charlestown, I knew I was going to get to see some operations, some revenue management, marketing, all aspects of hospitality. And then I met the people here and learned that they were going to bring me right into the fold very quickly. There was no silly questions. They probably did a lot of eye rolls and laughing, but they were always trying to foster my education in hospitality. Had some great colleagues, coworkers, and then I knew about that already. So when I came here, they delivered on that. It's been a great experience.
So since becoming CEO, I know this is a tough question, but is there one accomplishment that you're proudest of?
There may be, that's a tough question. There, right. Kind of maybe a two. I'll give you a two-part answer. The first is obviously in a single thing. I'm super proud of our portfolio. I mean, the body of work that we've got is our properties in our portfolio, and they continue to be best in class in travel and leisure, as Condé Nast, all the awards, and I think that speaks for itself. So obviously, a lot of pride there. But on the other side, maybe a little bit more of a macro level, something that I'm very proud of to be part of and trying to continue to pass, to carry that torch a little bit is the legacy that we have, right? We've had properties and owners, clients, however you want to look at it, owners that we work with for 20 plus years. We've got great long-standing relationships. And I think that speaks to how we operate as a company, how we lean into what their vision is, executing on what they have. And I think, most of our owners care financially, so we've obviously been successful along that area. And then in that same legacy vein, I think, every month when we send out and do our anniversaries at our company, we have, 5, 10, 15, 20-year employees. So with great longevity of clients and great longevity of employees, I'm very proud to be, we've got a lot, and I can't take a lot of pride in it, but our team, we do try to carry that torch, and it speaks to the legacy and what we're doing here. And I think there's a lot of good things that are coming from that with the longevity there.
That's great. So we're more than halfway through the year. Earlier in the year, you unveiled and talked about growth plans for the group. How's it going so far?
Again, it's going fine. I'm not going to just be, I'm kind of more of a realist. It's going fine. I mean, I'd love for it to say we've taken on, X amount of properties and then everything. And really where we've seen the slowest development. We've got 4 projects, and I'm sure, you've heard this. 4 projects that are just kind of, one's going forward, the other 3 are kind of sitting. They're just hovering right there. And as soon as something, be it either the interest rates come down a little bit or construction prices come down again, they're ready to go. We're going to put the foot on the gas. But, that's frustrating. We get our team, across our corporate office and even on property, we get excited about new projects and because, we just love that experience. And they're just sitting there looming. We want those to come to fruition. And hopefully they do in the next, 90 days, 120 days, finish off the year with some positive momentum going into 25. But generally, we've had some takeovers. Like I said, that one development project's going forward. A lot of opportunities, still continuing to push in that college and university markets, and we've got 2 opportunities there. So love to see some of those, come into the fold too.
Very nice. So now we're going to get more into the industry topics, thought leadership area of the podcast. So, you mentioned a couple challenges that, you're kind of having on the building side with interest rates, construction costs. As an industry, what do you think is our biggest challenge, and how is Charlestown tackling that?
Yeah, I think you've probably been hearing this for the last few years. I think recruitment into the industry is one thing. I think I can speak to that from experience, right? I never even knew hospitality was such a great industry to be part of until I got here. Again, kind of tripped into it, and very thankful I did. So, as I talk with my kids and their friends and stuff, they never, hospitality, I'm pushing that. I said, that's a great career, great experience, and it really covers anything you want to do. I think I spoke to it already: operations, revenue management, marketing, accounting. It covers a lot of basis in hospitality. People only think of it as, kind of a front desk agent or in the F&B industry, and it runs a gamut. There's, everything touches it. So I think recruitment into the hospitality industry is something we've got to make it more appealing. And I think we had a good reset on there back in 2021, 22. Wages were increased. The employees' voice was heard a lot. And we, in Charlestown as a company, we had to meet those employees where they were. We needed to make sure that they understood. We were empathetic to the situation they were in. We knew it, and we responded with it, whether raising wages, help with childcare, flexible schedules. One of the things that I think we're doing as a company, we really put in succession planning. I think that was an attractant. It's been a focus for ours since in 24, where we're partnering up with experienced general managers, DOSs, really across all the job titles, where you partner up with somebody maybe 1 or 2 steps ahead of you and get that experience. You may visit their property. And I think that recruitment tool brings people into it, and then they see a growth pattern. They see this is a career. It's not just a job. And I think that goes back to my first point about getting people into the industry. So, I think we're doing some of those things, but I think it's always going to be a challenge. It's not easy. We joke around about where's Easy Street. Well, it's not in the hospitality world, but at the same time, it's a very fulfilling job and industry that we're happy to be part of. So,
yeah. So we talk about this a lot on the podcast, and obviously it's become a bigger topic post-COVID that travelers are now looking for experiences. So how do you guys approach that? And any advice for hotels that are looking to offer experience to try to attract new customers, new guests?
Yeah, luckily for us, like I said, we've been in the independent forefront for 25 years, back kind of before it was really that popular. So we've really always led with that, and that's what we do in our property. So every property in our portfolio is kind of a standalone. It's got its own vision, its own brand, its own essence. And what we do is we really build out the experiences around that. For example, in Charleston, we obviously have the historic. We've got the beaches. We've got the tours, things like that, great culinary scene that we really try to layer into the hotel and really activate it. When you stay at a hotel in Charleston, you're immersed in Charleston, and we really bring that to the forefront and deliver on that experience. So I think that's something we've always done. We do it across our whole portfolio. Speaking of, give another example is in university markets, right? We work for a university or a college. That hotel becomes kind of the living room. It's their first exposure to that university. So it's got to be a great experience. So really, we understand the vision and kind of what the owner wants out of the property, and then we deliver. So if like I said, they want to really make a great first impression on those, faculty that are coming or those new students that are coming in, we really hear that, deliver on that, and hopefully that's another contributing factor for a student to make that choice for that college or university. And then it also sets them up for 4 years of continuing to come back. So it builds in a little bit of that loyal guest. So those are the kind of things we do at our properties. And it usually ties into whatever the vision of the owner is or the community that's part of. I think that's another way hotels should do it a little bit better. Sure, you can give a great experience, but you got to tie it geographically as well. I think you can always pull in a couple threads.
Yeah, no, that's great. And along those lines, Steve and I have mostly independent backgrounds. I've sold into mostly independent hotels. What else, besides that being able to the guest experience, what else excites you about being in the independent space?
Yeah, I think what you do is you start with from scratch. You got a playbook that you're actually going to create. Here at Charlestowne Hotels, I mean, we do it from the very start. We love to be on a new development. We love to be 18 months out. We're helping them with the brand. We're really working. We do all this in-house. We basically have an in-house agency that really understands hospitality, things that matter, have a good return on investment. But we help build that brand. We hear the voice of the owner and it really tie that in, and then we just deliver. We create the brand, and then operationally we start building around the brand. And everything comes back to the brand to touch base on. So I think that excites me. I think when you create something from scratch and then you see it 18 months out, and you're at a conference table with the owner and some marketing team and operations team, and then next thing you know, you're 18 months out, or actually 36 months out, and the property's been open and you're delivering on the brand that you helped create at that conference table. That's a very fulfilling experience. And as an independent, that's the way it works. There's no brand to hand you a book and say, here's what your uniform is going to be. So that also speaks to the team that we have here. Really, people come to Charlestowne Hotels because they know that they're going to get that experience. They want to be part of that, build something special, deliver, open it, unveil it, and then that guest has that experience. Or we get to go to an opening party, or we just celebrated a 5-year anniversary on our hotel up in Bristol, Virginia, and it was we were there with them for 18 months prior, and it was great to see that come to life. And then they're through stabilization, weathered COVID, and doing great things for that community, and the owner's happy and his vision's delivered. And yeah, I think we're excited to be there, so it's a win for all parties for sure.
That's awesome. So you've worked your way up to CEO, started out, as we said, VP of Finance. What advice do you have for, somebody out there who might be looking to be a CEO, that's kind of their goal in their career, to be a CEO? Any advice you have for them?
Yeah, I think I got it kind of from my mom. I think she said, never stop learning. I think that's what you do. You have to do when, obviously I had a very nice lane as an accountant in a public, for a public firm. I could have stayed there, but I went to Kiowa, learned some things there, saw some operations, came to Charlestowne Hotels. The team here has been a doctorate in hospitality. They fed into me for 9 years, and I'm still learning every day from that team. So I think back to the advice, I think you've always got to start learning. You ask good questions about why somebody made that choice. Why did you go that direction instead of this direction? Hear the answer. You may not agree with it, but you put that in your toolkit and you think about it next time you're making decisions around operations or revenue management or marketing. Especially if you cross out of a discipline like accounting was obviously my core area of knowledge. And when you start, the opposite is marketing, which is kind of fun though. Everything they do is beautiful, and it's this again the sexy part of the hospitality in the industry. And it's fun to get over there and learn how they do it and why they do it and what gets the return on investment, what's just for awareness. Our CMO, Michael Cady, he's always feeding me information on just his thought pattern so that I know what he's thinking. Good communication within a team is crucial. But, again, I'm always trying to keep that learner's heart and take away from the team where I can.
All right. So this question you can answer if you want to answer it. And we've talked about this a lot. So, there's been a lot of, for lack of a better term, consolidation, a lot of brands graduate. Now there's rumors that Standard is going to be gobbled up. How does that make you feel? And what is your take on that?
Yeah, good for them. We saw a lot of consolidation in 22, 23, coming out of COVID. I think there was a lot of capital out there. And I think people, took advantage and they said, we can consolidate, get a check and everything like that. That's great. And I don't have a problem with it because I think what it does is it makes our lane wider because really from a Charlestowne Hotel standpoint, we're an independent company who really wants to grow organically and thoughtfully. We make choices and, that it's a good fit. We got to have an owner that works for us, the property. It's got to be capitalized. It's got to be the right geography. We want to make sure that we're making good decisions where we're there. What I mentioned earlier, the legacy in 20 years, we chose the right projects and opportunities, put our best foot forward, accelerated them, made them special, and delivered for the owner. And then that's the kind of owner or client we want to take on. Well, if people are getting consolidated, and again, going back to we're a small, medium-sized, organically grown company, every owner calls me. I see them every year. I would never want to have so many hotels where I'd have to get somebody have to remind me who the owner was or who the general manager was. And that's just not appealing to us or our partners here at Charlestowne Hotels. Our executive team want to be intimate with intimately know our general managers and our owners so that we hear them. They know to call us, and we're still can get in there and do the work, not necessarily a C-suite that just sits here and directs strategy. We want to be knowing what's going on the ground. So anyway, I got a little long-winded on that. Sorry about that answer, but I think we like our lane, and if consolidation happens, that's good. It just gonna widen our lane because people want what we give. I think they want that boutique feeling, even from an ownership standpoint. They want to know who they're talking with and working with.
Yeah, I love the answer because that's kind of, we always feel like it's refreshing to hear that answer, because on the flip side, for those who aren't in your position, it hurts because you're like, oh, wow, Graduate was great. Now it's part of Hilton. What's going to happen to it? And I think that was the perfect answer for people who love independent properties. So
that's good.
Well said. Well, Kyle, we've been asking you questions this whole time. So now we're going to flip the tables and let you ask David and I a question.
Sure. Obviously things are changing. Like I mentioned, development projects have slowed. You guys are industry leaders and know a lot of people and a lot of projects and things like that. Where do you see 25 and 26 heading? Give me the future of it. The project slow? Does, tourism come back from worldwide back to domestic travel? Or just where do you guys see it going in the next, say, 24 months?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a lot of things. So, I mean, we've got the staffing issues, and we kind of need to recognize, how do we make this more of a career so we can service the people that do want to travel. I think you also touched on it. Interest rates are a big factor. And, we won't get into any specifics, but obviously there's a lot of political turmoil in this country right now, and not just in our country and other places. They're, going to Israel is, you got to make sure you go in a time where you feel safe and comfortable. So, I think we have leveled off kind of post-COVID, and now it's really up to the thought leaders, the industry leaders, to really make what the next, 12, 24, 36 months are going to be. And like you said, there's no excuses. I mean, people want to travel, people want to stay at hotels, or they want experiences. So the industry just has to really kind of embrace whatever change. And like your mother said, keep learning and just adapt.
I think kind of on the hotel side, I think we're going to see management companies, kind of like yourself, learn to be a little bit more flexible. I was talking to the CEO of one management company, and they're offering 4-day work weeks for their employees, and they're figuring out how to make all this work because, the people that are coming out of college, they want these flexible work environments. They want to work from home, right? Like that's great. And, some jobs you can do that in a hotel, right? But you can't do that at a front desk. So how do we incorporate these flexible environments for folks working in a hotel so that, they do have a little bit more work-life balance and just are a little bit more happy as well? So I think we're going to see a lot of hotels and, companies do that. And hopefully we can attract more younger talent and always keep learning from them as well. They have a lot of great ideas, this upcoming generation, the younger people coming into this industry. So I think it'll be fun to see. Yeah,
thanks for that insight for sure. I think one thing we can all three agree on that, as an industry, it's a resilient, ever-changing industry, and it adapts. So I think, David, you mentioned adaptability. I think that's a good word that'll always kind of be part of our industry and where we're going.
Absolutely. So now we're going to kick it over to our producer, John. He's been listening the whole time. He's going to ask you one more question before we get you out of here, Kyle.
So as you guys are talking, I'm going through the beautiful portfolio that you guys have of hotels. It looks like there's quite a few adaptive reuse properties in there. I'm curious, how do you approach working with that, whether it's either a hotel coming to you or you initiating that adaptive reuse, and what you're looking for in places that you can start activating in that way?
Yeah, we're talking, it's all about storytelling and creating a great experience. Well, adaptive reuses usually have a story. There's a history there. I think about our great property, the Collector down in St. Augustine. I mean, it's 100-plus-year-old property, a collection of a block of homes that were converted into throughout and then interconnected with a garden. Owners come to us. That's they usually have that collector, maybe not so much. It was kind of set up that way and bought that way. And we just kind of care for it, nurture it and make sure it stays in a good state. But it's all about storytelling there in that garden for sure. And then if somebody does come to us on kind of a new development with an existing property, I think we work with them very well. We've gained a lot of experience with tax credits, historical tax credits, making sure that we understand, hey, some things can't be changed. Operationally, we want efficiency, we want a good flow and all those things. But if the historic tax credit says we can't touch a certain wall or this wood's got to be coming back in place there, we'll work around that. We've learned that will create character, that'll create storytelling, and it'll be part of the project. So we've learned a lot. But again, going back to my initial responses, the storytelling is usually a little easier, not easy, but a little easier because it's been something before, or it's easier to tie into a part of the community or geographically.
So that does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier. So Kyle, tell us how people connect with you. They can connect with Charlestowne Hotels. This is your chance to plug away.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks. Well, obviously our website, charlestownhotels.com, would be the best place to reach out to us, see our beautiful portfolio. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I think our body of work is our portfolio, and it shows well. I mean, John, you were perusing it there during the show. We're super happy, but that's really the best way to get a hold of us, and you connect with any of our team members there.
That's great. Thank you. So that does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier. So whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate you and hope to be with you again soon. Thank you, and thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, guys.
You made it to the end of the Modern Hotelier. Thanks for listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Make More Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a guest or sponsor that would be a good fit, feel free to email us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. If you'd like to get some Modern Hotelier merch, click the merch button on modernhotelier.com or click the link below. Thanks and have a great day.